Okay, I've just completed the install of my new fog lights and my brand new headlights, and that should make a huge difference. But this is going to be just a short video on one little hack you can have for the Mazda 3 or any of the Ford products that have the same style dipstick in the MZR or Duratec engine. And what that is the dipstick. On these particular engines, you have this style dipstick, and when you pull it out, looking at it, it's actually rather hard to tell what size, what's going on with it. So, my little hack for the day is, because it's so hard to see on here, and if you think it's hard to see with about 400 miles on this oil, you should see how hard it is to see when the oil is brand new. So, here's what you do. Flip it over to the other side. I'm going to have to lay that down so I can wipe it off while I'm holding the camera. I really should get my son to help out with this. Now here you can see the high and low marks on there, and it's really hard to see. So what you do is, here's your hack. Flip it over and take either a Dremel tool or a hacksaw and put these increment marks in there, okay? What that's going to do is going to provide a little recess with a little bit of shadow contrast. And what that's going to do is, even with it's new, even when the oil's new and it doesn't even be that, it's not even that dark, you're going to be able to see the moisture in those cuts on the back of it. And what I did was I put the bottom cut on the same plane as the bottom one normally. I added a middle cut for where you'd be about a quarter of a quart low, and the top cut I actually put slightly above, about maybe maybe an ounce or two above where the normal fill mark is. And this is really hard video to do while I'm holding this, but I'm going to wipe that off and stick it back in. And that's all you do. You just take a Dremel tool with a cutting wheel or hacksaw and put these cuts in there. And like I said, this is Mazda 3 or any of the Fords that have this same engine and this same dipstick. It even says Ford Motor Company right on the damn thing. So now I'm going to stick it back in. And the reason I'm doing this is because it's very important that you check the oil level on the MZR engine. They generally they will use a little bit of oil. Even one in really good shape will still use a little bit of oil. And the problem is when the oil gets too low, it only takes one instance for the oil to be too low in order to destroy this engine. I can vouch for it personally. The time that I plumbed in my air oil separator into this and into that, it basically overpressured the engine and the bearings were starved for oil. And at the time I was also a little bit low on oil, and when it did that, it fried the main bearings. It just fried them. I mean, when I took them out of the old engine, they were just atrocious. After that happens, you no longer have good oil pressure. And in addition to no longer having good oil pressure, anytime you run it any bit low after that point without the proper oil pressure, the engine's done. You may as well just pull it out and use it as a boat anchor, because once you spin a bearing or wear the bearings on one of these engines, in order to tear it apart, you may as well just buy a salvage engine, which is what I did in this case, or you may as well get a crate engine, I guess, if you want to pay that much. Okay, so now it's been back in there. Pull it back out. And you see it's kind of hard to tell on that side. But see how those little notches I put in there retain the oil? It makes it much easier to see. And it's even when the oil's brand new, this oil has about 400 miles on it. I just changed it a little while ago. But having the oil, the top notch, slightly higher than the other one gives you a little bit of extra leeway. And it's very important on these engines. You got to check the oil. I check the oil at least once a week because this still does use a little bit of oil. And like I said, don't want to run the MZR engine low at all. Just a quick hack for the Mazda 3 and the MZR engines and the Ford products that use that same engine. Make sure you keep oil in these. Don't let it get low, and have a good one.